Orange County Metrolink and Amtrak trains have stopped running south due to train issues. We'll have the latest.
And President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan is coming into action. We're interviewing 2 experts live in the studio.
An arrest has been made for the serial killer hunting the streets of Northern California. All that and more on Chapman News.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Gavin Nguyen.
And I'm Avery Feldman. We begin today with a transportation headache for some commuters here in Orange County.
Some people are facing delays and longer commutes after unstable terrain forced Metrolink and Amtrak to stop running trains heading south from San Clemente towards San Diego. Transportation officials now say the work to stop the hillside from moving near the San Clemente train station won't be finished until December or maybe later. They had previously said the track would be reopened by mid-November. The closure stops Amtrak trains at the Irvine station and Metrolink trains one station further south at the Mission Viejo Laguna Niguel station. Amtrak offers an alternate bus service for their trains that stop in Irvine. Commuters must board the bus to Oceanside, then continue their journey by train to their destination. Paolo Garcia and Luisa Torres from Santa Ana are heading to Chula Vista to visit family. But instead of going straight to San Diego like normal, they must wait in Irvine for the bus.
So it added like another hour and a half maybe because of the disruption.
Metrolink Director of Communications, Scott Johnson, understands why commuters are frustrated, but cautions that it's better to be safe than sorry.
It's a multi-million-dollar effort that is literally trying to stop the Earth from moving.
Many commuters agree with the decision to close the railway, even if it is inconvenient.
Again, a little bit longer, a little bit more inconvenient, but not terrible. And again, for my seat, I'd rather be safe than have them run over some soil that actually does collapse and cause some issues.
This is the second time in roughly a year that trains have been stopped to stabilize the same area. Rain and ocean spray contribute to soil movement, making the area unstable. The Orange County Transportation Authority is looking for a long-term solution to protect the railway. But for now, the OCTA will try to stabilize the area using emergency funds from the state. Police in Northern California have arrested a man suspected of killing 6 men and wounding 1 woman in a series of shootings. 43-year-old Wesley Brownlee was arrested early Saturday morning. Investigators have linked the crimes through ballistic evidence and video surveillance. Stockton Police Chief Stanley McFadden says he believes by arresting Brownlee, officers stopped another killing.
Surveillance team followed this person while he was driving. We watched his patterns and determined early this morning he was on a mission to kill. He was out hunting.
McFadden says Brownlee was dressed in black, had a mask around his neck, and was armed with a firearm. Authorities are now working to determine if that weapon used is connected to the other shootings. The motive behind the shooting still remains unclear. Brownlee will appear in court this afternoon.
The U.S. Department of Defense is trying to get 2 surface-to-missile systems delivered to Ukraine as soon as possible. This is in response to Russia's drone strike in Kyiv yesterday that killed at least 4 civilians. The drones used in this attack were supplied by Iran, which the U.S. State Department says violates a UN Security Council law prohibiting countries from transferring weapons to and from Iran. The attack in Kyiv seemed to target critical Ukrainian infrastructure, including power plants. The sexual misconduct trial against actor Kevin Spacey continues. Actor Anthony Rapp accuses Spacey of making unwanted sexual advances at a Manhattan party in 1986. He is suing Spacey for $40 million. The defense claims the incident was fabricated to boost Rapp's career. Spacey took the stand yesterday and gave an emotional recounting of his childhood and how he felt after Rapp's allegations were made public. He denies the incident ever occurred. The trial continues today in New York.
Vote-by-mail ballots were sent out last week to California residents for next month's election. The security of voting by mail was raised by former President Trump and his supporters after the 2020 presidential election. No irregularities were ever proven, but the issue is once again being raised around the country. We spoke with Bob Page, the Registrar of Voters for Orange County, about what his team is doing to ensure the security of vote-by-mail ballots.
We take election security very seriously. There's a number of things that we do, a lot of different measures, and some examples I can give you real quickly are all voting is done on a paper ballot. Even if you need assistance to vote with a touchscreen to actually mark the ballot, we still are actually scanning the paper ballot. Those scanners that we use to count the votes on the ballots, every single one of them is tested before and after the election. And last thing I will say is that after we've counted the ballots, we do several audits where we randomly select ballots to hand count. We then compare those hand count results with the machine counts to make sure that they confirm the results.
The general election takes place on November 8th, and vote-by-mail ballots must be postmarked on or before that date. You can find more information on your nearest ballot drop box, voting center, and more at ocvote.gov. Police departments around the country have been facing staffing shortages for some time now. Chapman News reporter Kate Worsham tells us the police department here in Orange isn't facing a shortage, but does have a unique way of boosting its presence in the community.
Faced with openings they've been unable to fill, some police departments have resorted to hiring civilians to do the jobs that trained officers otherwise would. It might sound like an unusual move, but City of Orange Police Sergeant Phil McMullen says it's really not.
I think every department in the state of California has what we call non-sworn or professional staff.
Non-sworn staff includes dispatchers, jailers, evidence collectors, parking enforcement, and homeless outreach specialists. Civilians are filling these roles in order to ensure that trained officers are able to patrol and respond to crimes. McMullen says just because the civilians haven't gone through the police academy does not mean they don't have any authority in their role.
And we're looking for people that have good integrity, that are smart, have good communication skills, and then they have a clean background. Then we know they're going to go out there and we can train them to do the rest.
Police officer employment numbers have dropped significantly throughout the country. A Police Executive Research Forum survey from June 2021 found that there has been a 45% increase in retirements and an 18% increase in resignations. Departments like Portland, Los Angeles, Kansas City, and New York are among the many that have seen significant drops in their police force. However, the City of Orange is not facing the same problem.
At the City of Orange, we've been very fortunate. We've hired more people this year than any other time since I've been here. People know how great it is here, how much community support we have, and they want to come here and work.
Regardless of the surge in new hires, the Orange Police Department is still looking for helping hands. Professional staff can make up to $100,000 a year, with benefits and a retirement plan. If you're looking for a way to give back to your community, this could be a rewarding opportunity. I'm Kate Worsham for Chapman News.
The Biden administration has launched the official website for its controversial student loan forgiveness plan. To qualify for student loan forgiveness, an individual needs to have an income of less than $125,000 a year or a joint income of less than $250,000 a year. Borrowers can then be forgiven up to $10,000 in student loan debt, or $20,000 if they are a Pell Grant recipient. The application for relief is only available for those who do not have a private loan. President Biden announced the launch of the website for applications yesterday. He says it's a game changer and a new day for many Americans. Applications will be accepted until the end of next year. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete. We are joined now by two members of the Chapman University community, Jim Ducer, Director of Undergraduate Programs at the Argyros School of Business and Economics, and Christopher Pagel, Associate Dean of Chapman's Graduate Business Programs. They are with us today to share their opinions about the President's new student loan forgiveness plan. Hello, Jim and Chris. Welcome to our newscast. Yes. Starting off with you, Jim, do you support the student loan forgiveness program? Why or why not?
I'm okay with it, not thrilled with it, but I think it's a good compromise because over the last couple election cycles, this has been a really hot topic. So I think it's good to kind of put this behind us. $10,000, that is a lot of money. And I know there's a lot of criticism about the government and how the government is not efficient, with running any type of organizations. But if there's one thing that's a huge cash cow for the government is student loans. So a $10,000, forgiving $10,000 in the big picture, I don't think will have that big of an impact. And the last thing is, I don't know if most of you know this, but in the state of California, UC schools used to be free. The reason they were free was because they realized that the students who would go to these UCs, they would have such a strong economic impact, and that would come back in tax revenue. So if you graduate with an undergraduate degree, you will make $750,000 on average more than somebody without, and that tax revenue will more than make up for the $10,000 you're getting off your student loans.
And what about you, Chris? How are you in favor of President Biden's new program?
I think it's interesting that Jim said it's always around election years. You're right, Jim. It's always a topic then. Not in its current form, no. I think it's a bad idea always to pretend that we can just cancel debt. Anytime we can just pretend to say that debt's going to be deleted, it's going to be a receivable on the balance sheet, which means it has to come from somewhere. And that somewhere, as we all know, is going to be all of us that are working taxpayers are going to pay that increase. Or that increase in taxes for that lost revenue. So I think in principle, that's a bad idea. I also, in this current plan, Wharton School of Business just came out with a study that 70% of the debt forgiven is going to be from people that earn in the top 60% in the U.S. So it's not going to be necessarily affecting the people that barely made it through. It's going to be if you look at the income levels, you could be making $250,000 as a joint earner and get that, which is a big amount, and get that forgiveness. So I think in principle, the way that this is written is probably a bad idea, and it's going to affect, sadly, the people that didn't go to college, the people that are working trades, the people that are working kind of frontline jobs. They're going to see increase in taxes.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, how is the new student loan forgiveness plan going to impact young people who have been carrying such a high amount of debt?
Yeah, so on the surface of it, it may look like you're going to have less debt, right? It may feel like that, but as soon as you get out into the workplace, the unfortunate thing is you're going to be paying taxes on the income that you have, and you'll be paying taxes at the end of the year. And unfortunately, I think over the time, especially with the numbers that Jim mentioned, if you have that college degree, that's going to be great because you'll be earning more, so you'll be taxed more, so that you can pay back. It'll come back and actually have to pay. So it'll affect us on two fronts. One, it'll be a perceived benefit in the now, kind of like COVID relief, and now we're all seeing higher inflation, right? So I think that's going to be a similar thing with this.
And Jim, do you have any opinion on some other methods to address existing student debt?
Well, oddly enough, revolves around education. Just educate people about what they're getting into. They should know how much this loan, how much is it going to cost you, what your payments are going to be, what that total responsibility you're going to have, how your interest rates are going to impact your loan. So I think education.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris and Jim, for joining us today and sharing your opinions with us.
Thank you both.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Langley Tersani. After the break, I'll give you an update on your weekly weather forecast, national and local. Stay tuned.
Want to make sure you're decreasing your carbon footprint? I'm Caroline Applegate, live at a local recycling center with a solution.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
NASA's return to the moon is delayed until early November due to the effects of Hurricane Ian. This is yet another call off the launch of the Artemis 1 mission. The Artemis mission may be having trouble leaving home, but astronauts up in the stars are excited to be back on Earth. On Friday, 4 astronauts splashed back down to Earth in the Atlantic near Florida after a 6-month mission on the space station. Astronauts Kel Lindgren, Bob Hines, Jessica Watkins, and Samantha Cristoforte can't wait to have a cold drink with ice and eat pizza and see their families.
But back here on Earth, how did you enjoy the rain over the weekend, Avery?
Gavin, I love when it rains. It was amazing.
I wonder if we'll have any this week. Let's see if Langley knows on weather. Langley?
All right, let's jump right into our weather forecast. After a pretty surprising turn of events for Southern California last week with all of that rain, it's summer in October again this week. Right now, here in Orange, it is 86 degrees and sunny. And now for our national forecast. All right, just north of us in San Francisco, it is 69 degrees, and up in Seattle, 61 degrees. Out in the desert, Las Vegas is still enjoying the warmth with 84 degrees today. And in Denver, 64 degrees, and the same down in Austin. Moving over, Minneapolis wins today with the lowest temperature in our national forecast with 38 degrees. And Chicago is expecting a windy day and 43 degrees. Up in New York, 54 degrees. And then when we're looking down in the southeast in the United States, there's actually a frost warning, which can affect the farming in those areas. And in Columbia, South Carolina, it is 56 degrees today. I hope my brother knows to have brought a hoodie with him today. And down in Miami, Florida, it is 85 degrees. And now for our local forecast. Up in Westminster, we have 82 degrees, and inland in Irvine, 82 degrees, and 83 in Mission Viejo. And out at the beach, Newport Beach has 77 degrees, and then in both Laguna and San Clemente, 76 degrees. All right, and now our weekly forecast here in Orange. Oh boy, it is coming in hot today and tomorrow with highs of 89 and 95. On Thursday, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 86 and low of 67. Friday, there's a high of 79 and low of 63. To begin the weekend, high 72 and low 61 on Saturday. Well, that's all I have on weather. Have a great week, everyone, and back to you, Gavin and Avery.
This water bottle has the chasing arrows, so it should be recyclable, right? That isn't always the case. If there's not a 3 in the center of the arrows, the product is not necessarily recyclable. This is known as greenwashing, when a business advertises that they're environmentally conscious when their company has not shown sustainability efforts. The Pacific Marine Mammal Center, or PMMC, in Laguna Beach focuses on teaching people about the importance of recycling to save our beaches and marine life.
What is the difference between sustainable materials, reusable materials versus single-use plastic? And how can we get away from the single-use plastic and reduce our waste in general? And I think that if we start having this mentality, things will start changing.
According to the UN Environment Program, only 9% of all plastics manufactured has been properly recycled. That means the other 81% of plastic is going straight to landfills or being burned, emitting harmful pollutants into the air.
If you are unsure you are correctly recycling, there's an easy solution to this issue. Caroline Applegate is live at a local recycling center to tell us what to do.
Thank you, Gavin and Avery. I'm live here at Next Generation Recycling Center, a local recycling center located only 10 minutes from campus. Here at Next Generation, you can bring in recyclable materials that they will sort through and then send to a manufacturer to be repurposed. This way, you can see that you're recycling properly and making a difference.
So Caroline, how do I know if the plastic that I'm using is recyclable?
For example, is this water bottle recyclable?
Yes, so the plastic water bottle you guys have there is recycled because in California, you just need the chasing arrows in order for it to be recycled. However, in other states, you would need the 3 in the middle of the chasing arrows in order for it to be recyclable. However, having a single-use plastic water bottle isn't the most eco-friendly solution. I recommend getting a reusable water bottle like this one. I'm Caroline Applegate, live at Next Generation Recycling for Chapman News. Back to you at the desk.
Have you noticed your grocery bill is more expensive than usual? I know I have. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, grocery store prices increased by 11.4% this year. Grocery prices normally go up every year by 2 to 3%. This is the highest yearly raise since 1979. Higher labor and manufacturing costs, extreme weather, and economic distress are all factors said to be contributing to the increased grocery costs. Foods with the highest price increase are eggs, flour, milk, and bread. Trader Joe's employee, Alexa Winograd, says the price increase has not impacted business at the store.
So although prices have been rising, the demand for groceries is still there. Everyone needs food, so even though prices are going up, people are still coming in.
These high prices are forecast to remain the same throughout the rest of the year.
Warner Brothers' latest round of layoffs have left over 80 employees without jobs. Most of these workers were in positions related to animation. The news went viral on social media after people feared Warner Brothers would shut down the Cartoon Network. While that claim was rejected by Cartoon Network, the layoffs are still a concern for the industry, including Chapman Dodge college students studying animation.
My main concern right now is just steady employment. Just finding a place where I know I'll have at least a couple months of work is the big concern for me.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
Elmo loves you. I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
I'm Kate Worsham, and welcome back to the Best Campus Sports Show. I want to start today with some very pressing matters, the MLB playoffs, and if you've been following along, I'm sure you're just as stressed as I am. We're going to speed through this segment, since as a Dodger fan, this is not something I'm trying to relive. The San Diego Padres did what they did and will take on the Philadelphia Phillies tonight in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. The American League, however, is a day behind. Game 5 of the divisional series is being played today, after a rainout delayed yesterday's tiebreaker. The Yankees and Guardians will battle one last time to see who will take on the Houston Astros in the AL Championship Series. And that's all I have to say about that. On to some news I'm happier to report. Our number 1 ranked men's soccer team brought home another league win against Redlands last Wednesday, and will play Pomona Pitzer tomorrow night at home. Football played Redlands at home in a lightning-delayed game on Saturday night, and technically into early Sunday morning. The Panthers brought home their first SCIAC win of the season in the 38-28 victory. They will play Whittier on the road this Saturday. And 2 of our very own Panther athletes are gaining national recognition. Caleb Wilkins of the men's tennis team was selected to represent Chapman in the ITA Cup Singles Championship in Rome, Georgia, making it all the way to the final round. And Sophie Srivastava, a 2021 graduate of the Chapman women's volleyball team, is in the top 30 for the NCAA's Women of the Year award, being selected out of 577 candidates across all divisions. We are so proud of both of you. 4 days ago, history was made in California high school sports history. Laguna Beach High School senior Bella Rasmussen scored 2 touchdowns in a football game versus Godinez on Friday night. She is the first female football player in California high school history to score more than once in the same game. And finally, some news in the NASCAR world, because when I'm at the desk, we're going to talk racing. We're finally in the round of 8 as the NASCAR season draws to a close, meaning that only 8 drivers stand in the chase for the championship. It is the youngest round of 8 in NASCAR history, featuring young stars like Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, and Chase Elliott. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain are also still in contention for the championship. Sunday's race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway saw Joey Logano in the winner's circle, securing his spot in the championship 4. But the hands thrown between Bubba Wallace and reigning NASCAR champion Kyle Larson was the biggest story to come out of the Oval. At least, I thought. Only 3 races remain in the NASCAR season, including Homestead, Miami, and Martinsville, which will be the last chance for the round of 8 drivers to make it to the Championship 4, where the final 4 standing will battle for the 2022 Cup Series Championship in Phoenix, Arizona. And you know I'll be rooting for Team Toyota. And with that, I'm signing off. Thanks for watching the Best Campus Sports Show. I'm Kate Worsham. Back to you.
Hi, I'm Josh Blinder. Coming up after the break is this week's edition of Blinders Off. I'll be talking about some recent news with sports crowds. Stay tuned.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
Disneyland in Anaheim has recently increased its ticket prices an average of 8%. The price of a one-day ticket now ranges between $104 and $179 based on the day. The last time Disneyland raised ticket prices was a year ago in October of 2021. Disneyland also announced price increases for Genie Plus, Disneyland's Fast Pass program, from $20 to $25 per day when purchased in advance. There are other big changes coming to the Disneyland parks. The Magic Band Plus program will launch on October 26th. With the Magic Band, guests will be able to enter the Disneyland Resort parks with a simple tap of the band without needing a physical ticket. And guests don't have to worry about getting those Magic Bands wet. They're waterproof. While some people will be going wild for those Magic Bands, other people will have been going wild in the crowds.
Really? You might want to be careful. Josh Blinder has a crazy story about crowds and more on Blinders Off.
Thanks, Gavin and Avery. It's time to take those blinders off our eyes for this week's edition of Blinders Off. After the disaster at an Indonesia soccer game, 133 people were killed when the crowd began a stampede. Malang Stadium, where the game was held, is being demolished and a new one will be rebuilt. The president of Indonesia said he vows to thoroughly transform the sport where its nation loves it so dearly. He met with the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino.
This is a tragedy which has put us all in a state of shock. It was and is one of the darkest days for football. And we owe it to them that when they go to see a match, they are safe and secure.
Haven't you always wanted to crowd surf? I mean the rush of having dozens of people holding you up as they triumphantly pass through a crowd. Well, for one unlikely football fan, this became a reality. 48-year-old Jason Thompson is the superintendent of the Baldwinsville Central School District in New York. During a homecoming football game, He went viral with videos of him crowd surfing. Videos were posted all over, and many people applauded his enthusiasm, how cool this was. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet, though, is that he was intoxicated. After the game, he was pulled over by cops for making a turn without signaling. They suspected he'd been drinking and gave him a field sobriety test, which he failed. His blood alcohol content being at almost twice the legal limit, he was arrested for a DUI. For the college football community, beating Alabama in football is like a national holiday. A kick spiraling through the goalposts and good. This past weekend, Tennessee beat Alabama for the first time in 16 years, and fans are still celebrating. In the game of the year, a winning field goal had just given the Volunteers a remarkable 52-49 win over the Crimson Tide. It was the moment of a lifetime. Players and coaches went nuts. Fans in attendance at Neyland Stadium stormed the field. This led the Southeastern Conference to fine the University of Tennessee. The fine is $100,000 for violating the league's access to competition area policy. More money is also being raised as fans tore down the goalposts in classic fashion. Outside of Neyland Stadium, they were carried out to the Tennessee River and thrown in. Well, that's all I have today for Blinders Off. Don't get me wrong, I love enthusiastic celebrations, but please make sure to surf responsibly. Back to you guys.
Speaking of sports, Avery, do you collect any sports memorabilia?
Actually, I do not, but it seems like the sports card industry is back in business. Since being valued at $13 billion in 2019, the sports card industry is projected to be worth up to nearly $99 billion by 2027.
Our reporter Ryan Deeb has more on the latest boom in the collectible world.
Trading cards have seemingly always been around. Everyone knows someone with a collection, whether it's baseball, Pokemon, football, or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Since being invented in the 1860s, card trading and collecting has hit a spike in popularity recently. Influencers and celebrities all over social media are getting involved.
I don't know anything about football cards, 24 cards in here.
We're looking for downtowns in downtown, bro. Bro, this gotta work.
Pack openings and card breaks are widely popular now more than ever because of TikTok.
Dude, you're ruining Tub Time.
I didn't invite you here.
Get rid of it now.
So I've never collected anything, but I joined up with 2 avid football card collectors to see what the hype is all about. We ended up at Diamond 9 Sports Cards in Placentia, a hobby shop that hosts card shows twice weekly.
I got like really just kind of like just addicted to it in a way, and it's been super fun just to kind of collect and grow my collection again, and it's kind of like bringing back childhood memories, so getting that started again has been really cool.
So like the players I like grew up watching or watch currently, because you feel like connected to them and like you're kind of like rooting for them as you have their cards. And
Robert, the owner of Diamond 9, believes that card collecting culture was revolutionized in 2020.
Once the pandemic hit, of course, everyone was stuck at home, right? So people ended up, cleaning out their garages and attics and closets, and they found their old cards. And just the online presence of sports cards just skyrocketed.
The community is diverse. People of all ages attended the shows. One thing Robert mentions, this is the first time he's seen young people as the driving force behind the community.
They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, all that kind of stuff that generation just lives on now, We've also seen it where the kids are getting their parents involved in collecting as well.
So of course, I couldn't stay out of the action. It looked like they're having a lot of fun, so I decided I'm gonna do one for myself. How do I open this? Chase Claypool, Kyle Trask, and Chad Johnson. I'm pretty happy with this Chad Johnson honeycomb case hit card, but I'm sure there's been some other luck out there too today. So for Chapman News, this has been Ryan Deeb reporting.
Thanks, Ryan. This just reminds me of when my brothers collected these as kids.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at chapmannews.tv and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Gavin Nguyen.
And I'm Avery Feldman. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday with more Chapman News.